new study, the American Heart Association has revealed that 74% of Americans are not getting enough protein. They suggest that rather than turning to fatty meats for the missing nutrients, more Americans should have a higher intake of almonds, cashews, and other nuts. Here with us today is head nutritionist from the International Health Council, Freri Slickel. Thank you for being here with us today.
It's my pleasure.
So, Miss Slickel, why are people going nuts over nuts?
Well, Sean, for years, people have had a lot of misconceptions about nuts. Many are hesitant to put nuts in their mouth, but nutritionists agree that there is nothing healthier. You should have approximately a mouthful of nuts at least once a day.
So what are the best types of nuts?
There aren't really any best nuts. All nuts are special, and I find delicious in their own way. Nuts come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. While some people prefer bigger nuts, you can certainly handle a much larger quantity of smaller nuts.
I see. Are there any hazards involved when you indulge in certain nuts?
Well, it's always important to know where your nuts came from and whose hands have been on them. You never want to eat nuts that have been at, say, a bar for too long. Also, you probably want to stay away from all old nuts in general. Really, just be sure that if you're wary about your nuts, you clean them properly to get off any dirt or stench.
So how can you test the freshness or age of the nuts?
Always by taste. If you get a mouthful of the old stuff, spit them out and walk away.
Yes, nothing is worse than old nuts. Are there ways to spice up the nuts you eat?
I don't know about you, but I've got a soft spot for the raw nuts. Sometimes it can be pleasant to your palate to heat up your nuts a little bit to make sure they don't get too hot, as that may end up busting your nuts prematurely. Even better, go out and get some nut butter, which you can put on almost anything. Just be careful, it can be sticky.
So I've heard. Is there anything else we should know before we enjoy?
Yes, it's best to put your nuts in a little baggie or sack and make sure you protect your nut sack, as they can be very delicate. It's also important to keep them at room temperature. No need to refrigerate your nuts. Nuts don't do too well if they get too cold. They tend to shrivel.
Well, Freri, thank you so much for being here. You certainly know your nuts.
That I do, Sean.
Coming up next, balls, balls, balls. Stay tuned.